Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official Big Ten way too early 2023 power rankings, where I go through and rank all of the teams in the Big Ten from worst to best, from number 14 to number 1. And guys, the first thing I want to do is throw up the FPI rankings. This is the final rankings for the analytical data of 2022 for the Big Ten Conference. So you can see, this past year, it was a 3-team conference. You've got number 3, number 4, number 6, a massive drop-off, and then 2 other teams slightly within the top 25. That is the overall rankings in 2022. Just to give a little bit of a reference on where some of these teams stand going into 2023, these rankings are going to be a little bit different because we've got players leaving, players staying, things like that. But I do want to go over all 14 teams and just give a quick 30-second, maybe minute-long talk about each of them. So coming in at number 14, I am picking Indiana. No talent, no hope. It's a real sad thing with Indiana. They had that fluky 2020 season where they went 6-1, 7-1. People were saying they should have made the Big Ten championship that year, whatever. In general, guys, Indiana's lost their only key members in the portal. They're really not replacing them with anything. Their recruiting is still horrible. It's virtually the worst in the Big Ten, actually lower than Northwestern. That's why they're coming in at number 14, even though they were 4-8 last year, which is a lot better than Northwestern. I've got more confidence in Northwestern with their coaching situation than what's going on currently at Indiana and the overall talent that they are recruiting and also acquiring via the transfer portal. Moving to number 13, this is Northwestern. At least Pat Fitzgerald, maybe, because now, they're getting angry at Pat Fitzgerald. People are saying he's not that good of a coach. I still do like Pat Fitzgerald. It's very hard at Northwestern to win under their circumstances with all the academic stuff. They are getting a new stadium in a few years, and they have shown the ability to kind of turn it on in certain seasons and actually make the Big Ten championship game 2 seasons, back in 2018 and 2020. So I'll say, they did go 1-11 last year. They had some close losses. They've recruited. It's been bad, but they've gotten a few 4-stars the past few years. If you actually look at it, as surprising as it is, they are able to attract a few top 10 kids from the state of Ohio. That's mainly what I'm looking at. And again, Pat Fitzgerald has shown the ability to be successful. So although Northwestern's been so horrible the past 2 years, they're at the bottom of the conference, but they're not last for me and my look-ahead 2023 power rankings. At number 12, it's Rutgers. With Greg Schiano, they've had a decent defense. They play hard, but this team just cannot recruit. And it's shocking because they're located in New Jersey. They can't win any battles in the transfer portal for any offensive weapons, no QBs, there's no one. They've had a horrible offense since 2013, since they joined the Big Ten, but since Greg Schiano took over, the defense has improved, the offense has gotten worse, and I thought it was really odd that if you look at the FPI analytical rankings, they were ranked the worst team. They were 4-8, and they were somehow lower last year than 1-11 Northwestern. I think that's due to their horrible offense. I will say last year, they had a few games where they were kind of in the first half a few different times, but in general, Rutgers is just really bad, and their offensive limitations significantly limit. Also, the fact they're in the Big Ten East, facing Ohio State every year, that's an automatic loss. Michigan, that's an automatic loss. Penn State, that's an automatic loss. You've got 3 automatic losses on your schedule. And then from the West, who do you face? Wisconsin, Iowa, that's another. It's tough being in the Big Ten East, and they just have no playmakers. So they're coming in at number 12. At number 11, it's Illinois. I'm going to call them a one-year wonder, and it's not because I'm mean. I'm just trying to be realistic. They're losing Chase Brown, who I loved. They're losing Witherspoon, a possible first-round cornerback who I really like. and they're losing their young defensive coordinator, who is now the head coach of Purdue. So this Illinois team, in my opinion, with what they lose, with what they've been, Brett Bielema, he was really good last year. It's great. And it was so sad to see what happened. They finally make a good bowl game, and you've got all of your best players opting out, as Mississippi State plays everyone, right? So it's like, well, that's very sad that they lost that game when they finally make a good bowl game and all their players opt out. So Illinois, this is nothing against them. This is just a situation where I haven't seen the recruiting or the transfer portal tick up enough to trust this team to really continue a good run and possibly finish within the top 5 or the top 6 of the conference. I did predict them last year, I think, to be like 13th, and they did very well. But guys, let's not overreact to it. They still have not recruited well enough to be a top 7 or top 8 team in this conference, and they lose their young up-and-coming defensive coordinator along with a few really good cornerbacks and the superstar running back Chase Brown. At number 10, we're going to go Nebraska. Casey Thompson is back for like a 6th year, so you know what? They get a veteran presence. He's not horrible. And then the whole Matt Rule thing. So with Wisconsin, I think it's definitely a wait-and-see approach. We really don't know. And year one, if you're Wisconsin, 6-6, 7-5, make a bowl game. It's baby steps. You know, once the fan base in in Nebraska knows that Rule is the guy and he's going to lead them back, they will invest heavily into this football team. They will get their NIL. They will get someone crazy in the portal next year, but it's going to take Matt Rule to really prove it and have a solid season this year with a veteran QB. They're number 10 because, what they've done recently, you just can't rank them any higher. This is like as high as I could go. I guess I could have gone 9, but they just have not been successful. But I am high on Nebraska, especially over teams like Rutgers, Illinois, Northwestern, Indiana. They just have so much more upside as a program just based on overall fan support and potential NIL deals they can make with a fan base that's so passionate about the football team. So they're number 10 right now. Number 9 is Purdue. Hudson Card in. I think a lot of people are very excited about that. And then Purdue did hire the defensive coordinator, the young coordinator from Illinois. So maybe we get a little bit of a change of identity. Jeff Brom was an extreme offense-based guy. They lose him to Louisville. He goes back home. That's whatever. We could get a change here. Purdue maybe being a little bit more of a defensive team. You're losing Aiden O'Connell as well. So this is a program that's in some type of flux right now. Switching head coaches, a lot of speculation, a lot of projecting from me. They do have higher upside. But again, you're getting a new quarterback, you're getting a new head coach. It's very hard for me to confidently put you inside the top 6 or 7 in the conference, even understanding you made the Big Ten championship game. We have to understand the Big Ten West was very bad last year. They're at number 9. And then number 8, Maryland. They're losing a bunch of playmaking receivers. They had a decent season last year, but it is very tough for them being in the Big Ten East. They played well against Ohio State and lost. You still have to face Michigan. You still have to face Michigan State, Penn State, probably going to be really good next year. It should be, a struggle. It's weird with Maryland. I don't know if Tua's brother is coming back. Some of these players take like 40 years to make a decision. I don't know if it was announced. I didn't see it. I'm guessing he's leaving for the draft. That would hurt them more. They've kind of done a decent job recruiting, although not really based on where they're located. I think they should recruit a little bit better, but you have to respect Maryland. They had a good year last year at number 8. Moving to number 7, Minnesota. I like Fleck and what he's done at Minnesota. He's made them a solid, at minimum, 8-win team, I feel like. But they lose a lot on offense. They lose their number 1 running back. They lose Tanner Morgan. You know what? Maybe he can find a waiver and return for a 16th year, but I don't think so. So they're going to have basically a whole new offense there at Minnesota, but they always have a solid defense, so I'll say they're the 7th best team, the middle of the pack right now in the Big Ten, even understanding they're going to have to replace a number of key players. I do have question marks. I just don't think they've recruited well enough to really contend with some of the top teams personally in both divisions from the Big Ten. At number 6, it's Michigan State. It's the story with Mel Tucker. He needs a pass defense. He hasn't had it over the past 2 seasons. They've been one of the worst teams in the nation, in all of FBS, in terms of pass defense. And then you know what? Michigan State's been doing a good job. They know how to utilize the portal, and their recruiting is actually really good. They're getting like half blue chip, half 4 stars, half 3 stars. It's actually better than it was under D'Antonio. Of course, you have to produce wins, and, not making a bowl last year, that's a real step back. But I'll put Michigan State at number 6 with higher upside. They do return their starting quarterback, but a lot of fans don't even want him to start. So we will see with them. At number 5, I'm going with Iowa. Better offense, defense loses some pieces, but we know with Iowa, they're always going to have a good defense. Getting Cade McNamara, it has to improve at least a little bit, you would think, on the offensive side of the ball. They've got a really loyal fan base. It's hard to go in there and win, especially at night. We all know this. So for Iowa, it just seems like every 2 or 3 years they randomly get ranked inside of the top 15, and I think this could be one of those years. To me, they're the number 2 team in the Big Ten West behind Wisconsin, who I have at number 4. And again, a lot of this is speculation. Luke Fickell, his first year, it's a brand new system, but they've done a great job in the transfer portal, getting QB depth. They get Braylon Allen, the star running back. They should have a good defense, and they get a real easy division. They also get Ohio State at home. So I really like this Wisconsin team, maybe to get a few upsets, and that's a big non-conference game on the road against Washington State early in the season that they need to win. So I like Wisconsin at number 4, and the best team currently, my Big Ten West favorite to win. I mean, I don't know who else you could say at this point. You want to go Minnesota, Iowa? There's no other teams right now in the Big Ten West. It seems almost too good to be true for Luke Fickell and how he's cleaned up in the portal to win that division his first year and make the Big Ten championship. At number 3, it is going to be Penn State. So these top 3 teams, very neck and neck. They're all going to be top 10 teams in terms of the AP preseason poll. It comes down to the future quarterback at Penn State, the 5-star. He was a freshman this past year, Drew Aller. Is he the next superstar? Does he take Penn State? Because they've been good with Trace McSorley. They've been good with Sean Clifford. Both of those guys were lower 4 stars. Actually, I think McSorley was a 3-star. This kid is a legitimate 5-star. He was the number 3 overall player according to 247 Sports last year. So you know what? It comes down to him. We know Penn State always has a good defense. He's going to be starting his first season. Penn State's window might be this year and next year if this kid is the real deal. They're saying he's a mini Josh Allen. They're going to be a top 7 or top 8 team next year. At number 2, it's Ohio State. It comes down to Kyle McCord versus Devin Brown. I have faith in Ryan Day to make the right decision. Whoever it is, I think the Buckeyes will certainly have a Heisman-level quarterback. That's just the expectation with Ryan Day. I'm guessing it's going to be McCord, but we'll see. And then Ohio State, their offensive line recruiting has been terrible. And unfortunately, they thought they were going to kind of get bailed out by the transfer portal, and they struck out on basically every offensive tackle they tried to get. So, for Ohio State, I think you have to, at this point, put them at number 2, losing C.J. Stroud. And having a first-year quarterback, although I expect the first-year QB to be good. And then at number 1, Michigan, we'll see what happens with Jim Harbaugh. I'm guessing, based off of how this works out every year, I'm guessing he'll be back at Michigan. He just wants more money. They also return J.J. McCarthy. They return Blake Corum, which was a major NIL win for them. Everyone thought Blake Corum was going to be gone. And then they also return Donovan Edwards. So Michigan, They won the conference the past 2 years. I'm going to show them that respect and rank them number one right now. But in terms of the potential playoff teams, I think Michigan could make the playoff next year. I think Ohio State certainly. I think Penn State. And you know what? Maybe an outside chance for Wisconsin, but it's mainly those three teams, possibly even top four in terms of top 15 teams. Wisconsin, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. Iowa is a team that always seems to crash the party with less talent, and they have a veteran quarterback that can actually throw now in Cade McNamara, so maybe they get ranked inside the top 15. Michigan State is kind of a hybrid mixed bag. 2 years ago, they make a New Year's Six. This past year, they don't even make a bowl. We'll see how well they gel. Maybe they can get back to 7 or 8 wins. Minnesota, I just don't think they've done enough in terms of recruiting to replace what they're losing, but they always seem to have a solid defense under PJ Fleck, and they're a well-coached team. So that's my way too early look at the Big Ten, the current power rankings for 2023, guys. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.